Hello, today on Getting to Know, we're speaking to Danielz of the official tribute band to Mark Bolan and T-Rex, T.Rextasy. Hello Danielz.
Hello, how are you doing?
Fine, thanks, yes, and it's good to see you.
And you, pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you for taking the time out from what I know must be a very busy schedule to speak to us.
It is busy, but as I say, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And on our Getting to Know programmes, what we try and do is find out more about the actual person that we're speaking to. Now, I know that you live locally. Has that always been the case?
No, I've lived in Halstead for the past 12 years. This December will be 13 years, so quite a long time. So I consider myself sort of, an Essex guy now, because before that I used to live in Epping. I lived there for a few years before I moved to Halstead. The reason being is on tour, we used to pass Halstead quite a few times to get to Suffolk and what have you. And we thought, what a lovely little market town. And we ended up looking around, seeing a lovely house and buying it.
Okay, thank you. What have you got any particular memories from when you were growing up that you might like to share with us?
What, musically
or anything? Really?
Well, musically, I didn't really get into music until very early teens, maybe sort of 13, just entering my teens. Because before that, I was into football. I was an Arsenal fan,
Well done.
And I loved Arsenal. And then one day I was playing football, and there was a radio on, and this guy came on with this very unusual voice. I'd never heard a voice like that before, and that was Mark Bolan. And from that point on, I wanted to know more about, who was this guy? Because before that, of course, I did like the Beatles, the Stones, the Who, and all that kind of thing. But they were just a little bit before my generation. I wanted something from my generation, if you like, to quote a Who song. Yes. And Mark was it. And when I saw a photograph of T-Rex, especially Mark Bolan, from he was like beamed down from like Venus or Mars or something. There was nobody like him. And what people don't remember is that at that time, most bands were still wearing kind of, a white t-shirt and a pair of jeans. That's how it was. So it was very, very unusual. Parents all over the country were kind of outraged, really, because who was it? A man? Was it a woman? Where he's wearing eyeliner and glitter under his eyes and satin jackets. What is this person? And I loved all that, and from there on, I wanted to wear those sort of clothes as well. So even from that early age of like 13, when I went to see T-Rex, I had my loons on. I had my flashy jacket. I didn't go as far as eyeliner then. That was a few years later. But I just loved that individualistic style, and from there on, I've always thought of myself as being an individual as well.
Okay, that's good. Tell me, what family do you have?
They're living in Kent. My mum lives in Kent, and my sister lives in Kent, and so does my brother. So they're all kind of live in Kent, except for me. I'm the kind of the nomad wanderer, really. I'm the only one that's kind of left and lived a life in London and around Essex and Suffolk, really. I never wanted to stay in one place.
Okay. Right. Going back to music again then, which we'll probably stay on for most of the rest of the time. You mentioned that previously you was quite into football and you supported one of the best teams there is around. And then you heard Mark Bolan. Was it at that point that you yourselves became interested in playing music, or?
Yeah, again, when I heard Mark, it really got me into guitar playing. So I ended up really wanted to hear more guitar-based bands, so I did get into that kind of, Ritchie Blackmore, Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, and then a bit later on, people like Brian May. I love Jimi Hendrix, people like that, and I really was into guitarists. And Mark really is an underrated guitar player. He's an individual guitar player that was self-taught. Same as myself, I was self-taught. I wasn't interested in reading music because I wanted to play like Mark Bolan. I wanted to learn what he played, how he played those songs. And years later, Tony Visconti, Mark Bolan's manager, Mark Bolan's producer, who still produces David Bowie to this day, he said to me, I even play Mark's mistakes because I wanted to play everything like Mark played, and he because Tony used to tune up Mark's guitar. Mark really wasn't even that good at tuning up his own guitar. Tony did that for Mark in the studio. I didn't go quite that far. I wanted to learn how to tune my own guitar, but I was self-taught, and from the age of about 13, 14, I was lucky enough. My parents bought me a cheap guitar, not electric guitar, a Spanish guitar, which I didn't get on with, I didn't like because it wasn't my style. And then I had to wait a little while longer, and I got this frameless guitar. There was a band called Focus, and the guy used to play a frameless guitar, and it was quite cheap. So my parents bought me an electric guitar, a frameless guitar. I wanted a Gibson, just like Mark Bolan played. That's always been my ideal guitar, but that was fine for growing up and learning how to play on an electric guitar. And then I had to wait another year though to get an amplifier.
Oh, right. Okay,
So I was playing this electric guitar for a good year until I got because don't forget, I was only 13, so I didn't have any money to get a electric guitar and an amplifier. So I ended up having to wait till like the next Christmas or next birthday, and I got this little practice amp. So I learned on that really, and gradually through the years, that's why I know all these songs off by heart so well, because I've been learning to play them since my teens.
Okay. And at what point was it? When did the idea come to you about forming a T-Rex tribute band?
Well, that you're going a lot to modern day really, because before that I was in other bands. I always wanted to be in an original rock band, so I've always been a songwriter myself. And thankfully, through the years, because of the success of T.Rextasy, I was able to backtrack and get recording deals for my own original material. But in 1992, I was fed up of being knocked back by major record companies. They didn't want to know about my original material. They used to say things like, yes, it's really good, but it's not what's in style at the moment. They were interested in what's now. And so I thought, fine. I was sitting in a pub in the East End of London one day, and I thought, I'm fed up of this. I'm going to go out there, form a band, and just play music that I've grown up loving. And of course, it could only be Mark Bolan's music. So that day in September was the day that the time that I thought, this is what I want to do. And I formed a band around me, a few musicians. They're not with me now because that was the embryonic T-Rextasy, really. That was the first stages of playing in little pubs. Yes. And of course, as you go on, you're able to pay your musicians a decent wage. And that, in turn, of course, does get you better musicianship. So along the way, I've got better and better people playing with me.
Were those first people in your band kind of people that you knew from you've grown up with, or
not grown up with? No, because my dad was in the army, so I've never been in one place. That's probably why I love travelling and around. I'm a nomad because I lived in so many countries growing up. I lived in Hong Kong, Cyprus, Germany, all over the place. So when I came back to England and my dad left the army, I formed my first band in Folkestone, where my dad was based, and then it was only years later when we moved to Kent, that I formed another band. And then when I moved again years later, I formed a band called Tarazara with a couple of friends of mine. And then of course later on in 1992, as I said, that's when I formed T.Rextasy, because I was fed up really of being knocked back. So yeah. T-Rex really, the people I had in the band were a couple of friends that I knew, and a couple of people that I auditioned. And then of course, as time goes by, you're talking about a long time ago, 1992, 20 odd years ago. Yes. People come, people go, and some people don't work out. So you have to say, it's not working out, goodbye, nicely as possible. And that's when you get a little bit of bitterness, sadly. And a couple of those people are bitter, which is kind of expected, because if a band gets more successful because you're getting better musicians behind you, it's successful because of the musicians you're getting, that good quality musicians. So some of them are still friends of mine, but a couple of them I've lost contact with because they
yes,
obviously there's bitterness because they see us from playing a pub with them to playing kind of theatres and going to Japan and Germany and Wembley Arena even.
So when you first started in the band, playing in this T-Rextasy, did it take a while to really become popular? Was there some big break that you can think of that actually led to the popularity of the band now?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we were lucky. The first gig I ever did was in a little pub in Hackney, and Bill Legend, the original T-Rex drummer, came along to see me, and he said, "They're the closest thing you're ever going to get." And from that quote, it led to us getting an agent. And from that agent, of course, when you get one agent, you get other agents saying, "Oh, I wonder if he knows something we don't." Mm-hmm. And you have to remember as well, in 1992, there was no tribute band scene. Yeah. We were one of the, we were one of the first. Yes, yeah. There was basically the Australian scene, which you had the Australian Pink Floyd, you had Bjorn again, and then you had over here the people like the Bootleg Beatles, the Counterfeit Stones. Other than that, there wasn't that many. There was you can count them on two hands. So we were one of the first tribute bands. There was no, when I started, people didn't even know what to call us. They said, "Are you a cover band?" And I thought, well, I suppose we're covering Mark Bolan's music, but I didn't want to be called a cover band. So it wasn't until I think the News of the World, they did their supplement, and they reviewed 10 bands. And we were one of those bands, and that was one of the first times I ever remember being called a tribute band. And I thought, that must be what we are. We must be a tribute band then. And so it was from that point really that we became a tribute band. Okay. And I think the scene grew so vast from the mid-90s onwards that it has become a little bit over the top and a bit silly, where every village, if you like, have got their own Beatles band or their own ABBA band or something. It's got a bit out of hand in a way now.
Yes. So Danielz, apart from the UK, what other countries do you most like playing in?
Well, one of my favourite countries, I've been lucky enough to tour Japan twice in the mid-90s, and that's, I think Japan, the venues out there, we were playing venues out there that the original T-Rex played. So that was a real eye-opener and a pleasure to play those gigs. And also to meet some of those Japanese fans that went to see T-Rex and are big Mark Bolan fans, because they are obsessive out in Japan. There's a big glam rock scene out there. And we did 2 tours out there. One of the tours was lovely. We were going from a place called Fukuoka back to Tokyo to do this big show that was going to be televised by NHK TV. And when we were waiting for the bullet train, who should come along on their bullet train with David Bowie. And it was lovely. I thought, I'll go up and have a chat with him. So while we were both waiting for our train back to Tokyo, we had a chat and had a couple of photographs with him. If anyone wants to see the photos, they're on our T.Rextasy website, which is me and David. And the first thing, I went up to him and I said to him, "Hi, I'm Danielz from T.Rextasy," and he said, before I said anything else, it was lovely, because he said, "I know who you are. I've been reading about you," because it was nice, because we were getting a lot of press out there at the time. So he knew who I was. So that was a great introduction. And I said to him, because I know you and Mark were great friends, "Do you miss him?" And without any sort of flash of any, he said to me, every day. And I thought that was a lovely thing. He didn't even have to think about it. He just said every day, and that was nice. And we had only 6-minute chat, but it was nice to meet someone of that stature, if you like, because we played with quite a few people, on the bill, like Steve Harley and Boy George being with us, and Slade and Roy Wood and all these people. But meeting David Bowie was kind of a really lovely moment.
Yeah, I'm sure he's a great guy.
Yeah, he was. He was very friendly to me. What was strange, I will tell you one thing. When I said to him, "Can we have a photo?" he said, "Yes, no problem." My wife Karen, who went out with us for the tour, so she got ready to take the photograph, and his manager walked right in front of us like that.
Yeah.
And he turned around to her and said, it's okay, these guys are cool. So he must get that kind of thing all the time, that he doesn't want his photo taken with anybody. But the fact that he said, let's do it again, these guys are cool, I felt quite privileged that he's, so we ended up having 2 photos together.
That's good.
That was lovely, yeah.
Okay. Now, if I may go back, you mentioned about you was doing your own material a while back. Are you still creating your own material now? Are you being more accepted now for doing that?
Well, the only time we've played original material in the band is when we went to Japan. Because in Japan, we were lucky enough to get a major recording deal. Columbia Records signed us up for an album. So they released a single out there called Baby Factory. And Baby Factory is my own song. And because in Japan, they were a bit confused. And they said, oh, there's T-Rex. And I said, no, it's not T-Rex, this is T-Rextasy. And this is my song. But they liked the song so much that the song they picked off the album was ended up my own. So we had to play that live. So just for that one tour in the mid-90s, we played an original song, and that was the only time we played it. I've played it a few times acoustically, because I do these things called T.Rextasy Unplugged, which is just myself and John Skelton, our drummer. He goes on congas. So it's just the 2 of us, and we do these little theatres called T.Rextasy Unplugged. And now and then I may play an original song, because all the albums that T.Rextasy have released, I've made sure that most of them have had at least 2 of my original songs on there, done and recorded in a T-Rex vein.
Okay. Now, obviously I mentioned to start with that you've got a very busy schedule at the moment. You've got 3 gigs this weekend. I know you're playing in Hull, and then Leicester, and then
Maidstone Festival.
In Maidstone.
Yeah.
And coming up, you've got this. You're playing in. It's called T-Rexmas with T-Rextasy.
Yes.
You're playing at the House of Empire Theatre. Now I know that you've got 30 gigs between now and then, and would I be right in thinking there could be more, or is that's already sounds like a full schedule for me?
I think that's enough.
Yes.
I think that's enough. I think my band, they do like a little bit of a break every now and then, and so do I. I mean, I do like my home life, and it's nice going home, especially when we're away from home so often. It is nice, sort of going back and just chilling out and doing stuff that that I like to do away from the band. But because through the year, I mean, it's 30 gigs, as you say, between now and Christmas and New Year. And then we start again, I think, on our first date next year. We start on the 8th of January. And from the 8th of January, we've got gigs booked up until New Year's Eve next year. So it's already a busy schedule. And next year, there will be additions to the gigs already booked. So I know that it's going to be a good year next year, and a very busy year as well.
How long do you think you can keep going like that
for? Do you know, I'd like to think that, because I love the music, I only do it because of the music. Every time I go on stage, it's like the first time I've ever been on stage, because you get that Les Paul around your neck and you're away. You think, bang, oh, you're there. And because of that, I'd like to think that I'm just going to go on and on and on until perhaps I look absolutely ridiculous. But then, there was a band called Magic a few years ago, and they used to do a Queen tribute, but they never used to dress up. They used to just play the music. And if it came to a point where I think, well, look, we can't really dress up and do the show anymore, there is always that opportunity of playing the music really well. Would I want to go down that road? I don't know, because I still love putting that glitter under my eyes. I still love wearing that eyeshadow, I still love wearing that feather boa, and those jackets. I don't think I can stop that. So I think I'd like to think that I'll just go on and on and on and on. Hopefully be a little bit ageless and carry on as long as I can,
Well, we certainly hope we do. And I've heard from the Empire Theatre in Helsted that there are tickets still available for the T.Rextasy concert, which I think is on the 13th of December. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. I know that you brought your guitar along with you.
I have, yes.
Is this something that you'd like to play for us? We can't let you leave without playing.
Okay, yeah, let me do that. Let me just jam something for you.
Yes.
Let's see how we go. Grind. If it's good for your mind, you can twist and shout. Let it all hang out. That you won't fool the children of the revolution. No, you won't fool the children of the revolution. No, no, no. In the falling rain, I drive a Rolls Royce, 'cause it's good for my voice. But you won't fool the children of the revolution. No, you won't fool the children of the revolution. No, no, no. And grind. If it's good for your mind, you can twist and shout. Let it all hang out. But you won't fool the children of the revolution. No, you won't fool the children of the revolution. No, you won't fool the children of the revolution. No, you won't fool the children of the revolution. No way! Hey! Thank you.
That was great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we'll look forward to seeing you at the House of Empire Theatre and also at the Braintree Arts Theatre.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.